All right, my friends, welcome back to part 2 of this beautiful little scene. Isn't this looking quite nice? We're moving on to the boat. There's a reference photograph and this lovely red boat. So I have some cadmium red on my palette and some burnt sienna as well. I'm going to take a small flat brush and let's simply work from the back here, okay? Let's just get this filled in, get a little bit of detail in there, and we'll do this red at the very end for a nice splash of colour. How about that? Okay, I'm going to dampen a small brush. I am going to go for, it's very sort of a Naples yellowy type of a colour, isn't it? So let's just go by what we see. And that's what I do with painting. I look at what I see and I go by that. So I'm thinking a bit of Naples yellow, maybe a tiny touch of black. Tiny touch. And there may even be a tiny touch of cadmium yellow in there. I'm just kind of messing around now with colours just to see. Okay, I'm thinking maybe a touch more cadmium yellow and maybe a touch of sienna. It doesn't have to be the same, and I don't want it kind of blend into the background either. So I'll just go with that first. I'm going to come up higher with this, okay? So I'm going to come around and then down like this. You see how I picked up that colour there, that black? It's still wet. That's absolutely fine. That actually helps, believe it or not. Go around like this. Now I know this is sort of blending into that sand a little bit, but that's fine. Our dark lines later on will stop all of that. I'm just going to fill this in with this type of a colour, a sandy colour again, okay? As it comes forward, I'm going to take burnt umber and put some burnt umber in there. Soften it out, like so. And then, as it goes right back in, I'm taking black. And I'm just taking little amounts of each, okay? Just little subtle amounts. That's all we need. I'm just making sure my microphone and everything is powered on and working fine. I don't want any mishaps. I'm going to come up a little bit with that. Okay, fill that in. Come along the base, along here, let's say. Fill that in. And then, this is important. Bring your brush strokes down like this. Follow the direction of the inside of that boat coming down like that. And that will already give you the impression of the angle of the timber inside the boat. You see what I mean? We already have that impression then. Now I'm going to just give my brush a quick clean. I'm going to go right in there with some deep purple, dark purple, phthalo blue, and let's get some cadmium red. You could try that. And I'm going to put some of that deep purple. Now it looks black, but it's a deep purple, okay? As it comes out, maybe a bit more cadmium red, just to warm it as it comes out into the sun. All right, just like that. So we have a nice grade of colour there now, don't we? And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to take some blue and a little white. I'm going to pop this deep blue into the shadow because this deep blue will bring the shadow to life. Okay? Now, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it does bring the shadow to life a little bit. So a deep blue right in the shadow. Let's work our way around. Okay, I'm going to try a little bit of cadmium yellow and a bit of Naples yellow with some white perhaps. And I'm going to just sort of put that colour in here. So I'm just getting my angles right now first, okay? Bit of Naples yellow, swing it around, like so. The next thing I need to do, I think, is get some nice strong lines in there. Let's take a fine detailed brush. I have a little rigger brush here, nice little rigger. I'm going to take some, let's start with some, let's try burnt umber, look. Let's mix plenty of burnt umber with some turpentine, get it nice and watery, maybe a bit of black. Let's start putting in details, just separating the areas, okay, look. So this one comes around like that, this one comes over like that, and it swings down, like so. Then we have the back of the boat, just a little piece there in the middle. Now, see, all these little things will make a difference. Now, I am going to just come up higher with this. This needs to be straight, doesn't it? Almost straight, and then it turns like that, doesn't it? That's a better representation, I think, isn't it? Then we will start putting in some uprights here to suggest some bits of wood, etc. Just the splines between them, that's all. I'll put a little bit of a hint of it there, just to suggest a little bit of detail. Then we come across with these guys across here, little planks of timber. And then I'll get some of that deep purple. We'll put some deep purple in here as well. It's just for a bit of contrast really than anything else. Okay, I'm going to take some Naples yellow and some white. I'm going to come up here and fill this in, like so. That's a bit better now, isn't it? Now I am going to warm it a bit. I'm taking cadmium yellow and burnt sienna. And I want to warm this area. It's catching the sun, isn't it? So it needs to be nice and warm. Let's get some warmth in there. See, that's a little bit better now, isn't it? And we can even take some cadmium yellow on its own as well. Pop a little bit of cadmium yellow in there. Then I'll get some burnt sienna on its own. I'm going to pop some burnt sienna in as it comes across and gets warmer and warmer and warmer. Some burnt sienna, soften it all in. I'm going to do the same down here. Just add a little touch of burnt sienna here and there, just to, you know, add a bit of contrast into the boat. And then, when we have our darks done, now there's one line across there that I want to do. It's like a light blue. I'm taking some white and some blue, okay, making a rich blue, and I see a nice rich blue going across in that dark, look. Now you see how that just catches the highlight. Isn't that lovely? And I like that. Next, I am going to pop a little bit of light on some of those inside ones, just here. A little bit, and it disappears. Okay. And again, I'm going to take some black, and I'm going to come along here and just again reinforce that dark line there. Just put some black across the bottom of that. All right. Then up on top, we have a nice light colour coming around the top of this as well. All these little details, now I'm just adding in with this pointy brush, all right? Small little details, but they make a difference. The next thing I want to do is I want to get some very thick colour with a palette knife just on some of the deck boards in here. I might try some cadmium yellow, Naples yellow, and white. A very, very whitey colour. I'm going to put some boards in across, you see? And then maybe just a bit of Naples yellow on its own. And you see now that just lifts the boat up, doesn't it? It lifts the colours up. And let's just make it look busy. There we go. Maybe a few bits down here and there, like that. Just one or two bits of light. Catching. And then we're moving on to, but before I do that, I'm going to just go around the top edge again with some dark. Get some nice dark colour. like that, okay? Bit of black. It's all about just getting your lines in. See what I mean? Now I'm just going to soften this grass and stuff back in here just a little bit. And I'm then going to put a nice bright colour across this again. Perhaps even that light blue. We could use that light blue as well, couldn't we? Let's get that light blue colour and come across on top of this. Nice line. You see, that just separates everything then, doesn't it? Okay, we're done. Let's move on to the red. I'm eager to paint the red on this. This is going to really jump out from the canvas once we start this. Let's get some cadmium red. Come on. Cadmium red, rich cadmium red. And there's a bit of magenta in there as well. Nice and thin, no, not too thick, okay? You see? Now let's start with the dark in the back, okay? Just come down like this. And then it comes across. Fill that in. Just be careful. It's just like painting by numbers, isn't it? As we come forward, let's get some red with Sienna. That'll give us a much richer red. And that's a lovely combination. Burnt Sienna with cadmium red is always a beautiful colour. For roses, cherries, that type of shade. Beautiful colour for that. Nice and rich and bright. Just come down here, let's cut down in front of that, get the shapes. I tend to get my shapes in first. I might even use some cadmium yellow with the red, just to give it a bit of warmth. And we'll come across like this. Remember, follow your directions. Look, you see, I'm coming down and curving the brush around. Follow your directions. Now at the back it gets darker, doesn't it? So let's take cadmium red with a little bit of black perhaps. You could even add a bit of blue in there as well if you want. Now we need more of a curve on this, don't we? There we go. It's difficult sometimes to get your darks in on a colour like this because cadmium red will soak up the darks a lot. I'm going to try a deep purple instead. Cadmium red, phthalo blue, a nice dark colour. And that's a bit better, I think. And again, I'm using the thickness of the brush to suggest the boards, you see. Already, we have a lovely contrast, don't we, going on. I want to clean my brush again, get rid of all that dark colour off your brush. Get it somewhat clean. And let's get some nice bright colours in here. Cadmium red, cadmium yellow. Let's get some warm, nice bright warm shades. A nice sort of a rich orangey shade. And then I'll mix the same. Cadmium yellow, cadmium red, maybe a little bit of white. Now you need to just be careful, you don't want to muddy your colours with this, okay? We don't want muddy colours. You want nice fresh colours, so I'm just keep cleaning your brush, keeping it nice and bright and fresh, okay? I'm going to clean my brush again, it's getting a little muddy. I'm going to start again. Cadmium yellow, a little bit of cadmium red. There we go. Nice sharp brush strokes, look. Like so. Now I'm going to do the other side. Again, cadmium red, bit of cadmium yellow, touch of white. I'm going to come down and down like that. Filling in that side. Now we can only see a little bit of that, you see. Only a little bit. I'm going to go to another little flat brush just to give me a little bit more control. I'm going to take a very dark colour, cadmium red, maybe a little bit of black, and I'm going to put in the dark shadow of that front piece. See it? Like so. Take a bit of black, wider at the bottom, wider at the top. Now, let's just go down and get that dark shadow back in again. Leave it fade away into the sand. Doesn't that look lovely? And I'm keeping this just simple. I'm just keeping it simple brush strokes, okay? So, for example, this light side here of that front spline, let's call it. Just take a bit of yellow, a little bit of red, a little bit of white. Put a highlight on that. If you're not getting the highlight, just go back in, take a bit more colour. Something brighter. Okay, see? That's absolutely fine. We have a little bit of a yellowy shade down at the bottom, don't we? Let's take some cadmium yellow, a little bit of white, a bit of Naples yellow perhaps. And let's pop that little bit of a yellowy colour down the bottom. Leave it disappear off, look. There we go. Let's get more Naples yellow. Try it again. Grab a little bit of cadmium yellow on your brush. See, just wiggle a bit of colour through it. That's all. And there we go. So far, this is looking quite nice, I think, isn't it? We have a lot of blue going on. So it looks like, for example, the paint is worn off, hasn't it? I think we should try it. Let's take our flat knife. You could use either knife, okay? One or the other. I suppose we could try this one. Gives us more control, doesn't it? Let's take a bit of blue. Bit of light blue. So, phthalo blue, a little bit of white. And let's just pop that across. First, get the shape of the boards, you see? Get the line of the boards first. And then just start touching the canvas very gently. Let's put another suggestion of a line in here. You see? Just start lightly touching the canvas with your colour. Let's go up a bit more, shall we? A bit more blue. Let's just give it a bit more blue. That's better now. Look, there we go. Give it more of an impact. We've another little bit of it showing down here. Touch of it down just here and there, little touches. Now we don't want to overdo this, do we? Just a touch here and there, that's all we need. We can add a little bit of darker texture at the back. Let's take a bit of the darker colour. So let's add a little bit of texture at the back, just to continue the feeling of texture all the way back. Now, I think that's fine. I see a little dab of cadmium red. There, like so. The next thing I'm going to do is just take some dark colour, maybe a little bit of brown, a bit of black, just a dark colour on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to very gently suggest some lines. Just very gently, just one or two. You only want to suggest. and a couple on this side, like so. Let's just finish off the bottom of this, square that off, bring it down into the shadows. We have little bits of dark stuff down at the back here. It's just sort of, the boat almost kind of disappears into the sand, doesn't it, at the back. It's very difficult to tell what's back there. So let's just add a few little dark bits and pieces here. Look, just a few little bits and bobs, I like to call them. I'm going to put a nice dark line under this side here. Like so. We have a couple of small little highlights to finish off, don't we? I'm going to pop one here. I'm going to take a bit of black and just finalize a little bit of detail inside the boat. Like that. Now, even as it is, that's absolutely fine, isn't it? You know, we don't have to keep going with all of this. I'm happy enough just with an impression. But if you do want to keep going, let's just add a little bits of bits and bobs here and there. Look. Take a bit of burnt umber. Pop a couple of dark bits of grasses and stuff like that. You know, you can just keep at it if you want, but knowing when to stop is the trick. Now I'm going to just come down and sit some sand in under all of those there. And that may very well be the last piece of this puzzle. We'll just take some white, perhaps, nice bright colour, and just sit that down like that. Now I think that's very, very nice. I'm very, very happy with that. You don't really have to keep at it and at it. Let me just pop a few bits in front of this just to give it a little bit of movement and help it sort of settle. You could even kind of look, just soften it down very gently as well. I just want to help that kind of settle into the sand. Just put one or two light ones, bits of grasses popping through here and there. Again, just to sit that grass down. Other than that, my friends, we don't have to keep going with this. Look, we can call this finished if we want. We can put a couple of little bits and bobs up here. Just suggest little bits and pieces, you know, just to finish it off. Now, that's a bit dark, isn't it? So I'm going to go back over that with some lighter ones. That's better. And the final piece of this puzzle, my friends, is I think one or two seagulls up in the sky. Let's go. Come on. Let's put a couple of seagulls in. It's not a seascape without some seagulls, is it? Let's go into the dark cloud. I think 3 is a magic number, isn't it? A little bit of white, just do a wiggly M. Take a little bit of black on the edges of the wings. And just in the center, a couple of dabs of black. And there we go. And my friends, I'm calling this finished. What I might just do before I sign, I'm going to take a bit of cadmium red and yellow, a very bright colour, a little bit of white, and just give this a hint of light. Just there, I think, is all it needs. And there we go. I'm finished with this, my friends. There is one thing I spotted. You see this dark area? Could perhaps put a little bit of colour just through that. Break that up a little bit, perhaps. How's that? Better, I think. Now let me move the camera back. Let's take a look at what we've created. There we go. And that, my friends, I think is a very big success. There we are. I'm very happy with that. Very happy with that. I'm going to make a lovely frame for this. I think it'll look stunning framed. I hope you've enjoyed watching the tutorial. I'll just sign this. I stick a quick signature on it and it's finished and I'm walking away. I'm done. So until next time, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed watching and I hope I have helped you simplify something like a boat, which looks complicated. If you can get the sketching right first time and just follow those lines, you'll have no trouble. And you can mess around and play around with it then after that, as you wish. Just suggest little details. Alright, just put little marks with a brush, little vertical marks, anything, just it suggests detail in something like a boat. And you can see it's just an impression. So go for it, don't be shy. Have fun, my friends. I'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, hit the like button if you haven't. I'll see you again very soon. Take care and happy painting.